Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with Amelia Paro, who is the Director of Channel with ID Agent. Good morning. How are you, Amelia?
I am doing great. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, viewers. I am coming to you from, so real quick joke. Most people who know me know I travel a lot for work, right? I go to a lot of channel events. I'm popping from, West Coast to East Coast and all over the place. So kind of a running joke with the people that know me the best is that where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? So, and I just totally dated myself. So those of you who are familiar with that game, along with the Oregon Trail, but yeah, so where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? I am coming to you from New York City today. I've been in the city, so normally I'm out of Phoenix, so it's really nice to have a normal morning schedule as opposed to something really, really early.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we are glad to learn all about ID Agent. We've heard of the brand for a long time, and I think we're going to understand. We'll find out today why an IT business owner needs to be teamed up with ID Agent, how ID Agent can help sell cybersecurity to their clients, and I think we'll get a little demo as well, right?
Yes, we are going to take a peek underneath the hood. So very exciting stuff today.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, where should we begin?
Well, so many of you may or may not be familiar with ID Agent. We were first to bring to the channel the dark web monitoring, and this is a couple of years back, right? And when we first came to the channel, we were born in the government space, but when we first came to the channel, dark web monitoring was like really just like, wow, it was very razzle dazzle, very scary. And a lot of MSPs adopted that. And that was something that, was really a game changer in kind of the selling cybersecurity services for MSPs. And I say this from personal experience because I came from an MSP. My MSP was an early adopter of ID Agent. And for me personally, like it changed the nature of the conversations that I was having with my clients, with my prospects about the dangers of the dark web, and it's how it really is a real thing and it really affects them and it is a huge business risk. And that risk has only grown. And then it got to a point where a lot of other vendors in the space started offering dark web monitoring, and we felt that it's still absolutely a great tool, but we need something more, right? We need to be able to offer the next step in the conversation, the evolution in that conversation that MSPs were having, right? So monitoring for compromised credentials, it's like offering a LifeLock for your business kind of service.
Sure.
But then what's the next step? Well, as the market changed and compliance mandates became huge and cyber liability insurance, the need to add security awareness training, right? And begin to really fortify the human element, the human firewall, however you want to say that, right? So we decided to add to the ID Agent platform BullPhish ID. So Again, a little bit of history here. Y'all didn't know you're going to get a history lesson. You're welcome. There'll be a quiz later. But in a nutshell, when we first added BullPhish ID, which is our security awareness training platform, to the ID Agent platform, it was just really to be a value add, right? Here's a nice to have. It wasn't really meant to be like a full-blown stand on your own, LMS, learning management system, right? Well, fast forward to today. So that is where we are now with BullPhish ID, right? It is a fully capable of standing on its own 2 feet. And we have since decoupled it from ID Agent. So in the past, from dark web ID, not the ID Agent. We have decoupled it from dark web ID. So as of last year, in order to utilize BullPhish ID, you had to also have dark web ID. And we realized that, there's people are, MSPs are using other dark web monitoring tools. Choice is yours. That's what's great about, the the business market, lots of choices, right? We're still the best in my personal opinion, but to each their own. But we still wanted to give those MSP partners the opportunity to use BullPhish ID and not feel like they couldn't because they weren't using dark web ID. So, security awareness training. I can tell you my reasons why I would think an MSP should add security awareness training to their stack. But in your opinion, what do you think? What's your take on adding security awareness training to an MSP stack?
Well, I think we could answer that question with many other questions, like what is the dark web? We hear so much about it, but Amelia, I got to be honest with you. As an IT business owner, I have not one time, never have I been on the dark web.
That's probably smart. It's a little like Pandora's box, right?
Well, let's talk about it. So why the I don't know what the word I'm looking for about the dark web. It's like, why is it so much like Pandora's box?
Well, and again, this is probably gonna another little mini history lesson. I won't go into it in detail, but the dark web is comprised of the deep web and the dark web, and it's everything. So the internet that we use is like just the tip of the iceberg. It's like a fraction of a percent of the entire World Wide Web that is available out there. We use the web that is cookie, right? So we can find things, we can Google it, Yahoo, Bing, AOL, all of those. The dark web and deep web is not. And it originally started out that the government used the deep web to share documents. It wasn't tracked, it wasn't cookied, you couldn't find it unless you had that IP address. Well, the criminal element got a hold of that because of that anonymity is a perfect breeding ground for all things illicit and immoral and dark and dangerous and illegal, right? So think drugs, think guns, think all manner of other horrible human trafficking.
Kind of like the Wild Wild West.
Yes.
Anything goes.
Yes. In downstairs.
Gotcha.
Right? Like an AT double hockey stick. But yeah, so criminal elements now have literally taken over the dark web, and it has grown into a massive lucrative financial criminal enterprise that rivals the GDP of the United States of America and other countries. I think the total like the revenue from cyber or I'm sorry, criminal element, the criminal activity on the deep web is going to be like $2 trillion very soon. It's significant. So the anonymity combined with the lack of being able to, enforce, police this virtual wild, wild west has really blossomed into a huge risk for all of us, because now data is the new oil. Data is the new gold. It is the new oil. And I think it's like every day, 6 million new people join the internet around the world. Wow. And so the amount of data that is out there is like mind blowing. There's not enough, numbers to calculate it all. I'm sure there are scientists out there that have. But the point I'm trying to make is that we're the way that society is that we vomit information on the social media for the most part. I'm speaking in generalities, right? And because the dark web is sort of that invisible criminal element, we all kind of feel very safe, and especially small businesses. And if you were to turn to a small business and say there is a roving gang of criminals that is breaking into businesses and stealing, all of your materials, your intellectual property, your money, people would be like, oh, I'm calling security companies. I need gates on the windows, and I need alarm locks, and I need dogs out in the yard, like all of these security precautions. But because it's virtual roving gangs of criminals that are breaking in virtually, it doesn't feel like it's the same kind of, danger. And because of all the information that we put out, and because we're all human beings, and because we all, we're people, and we have so many different applications and tools and solutions and things that we all use throughout our day. It's not just the danger of what's on the network, or of people breaking into the network. They don't have to do that anymore, right? They, instead of putting all that time and effort into breaking into the network, what they can do is go hack a less secure third-party site like MyFitnessPal, or not to pick on MyFitnessPal, but that was one of the breaches that we saw. These less secure third-party websites where people are using the same work email that they use for their work. They're using it on these other sites, non-work related, and the same password or a very similar variation of that password. And that is literally the root of all evil, so to speak. Like 90% of cyber incidences that result in a data breach or ransomware or any other major cybersecurity incident are the result of a compromised credential, right? Phishing. Right? Phishing comes from compromised credentials, which lead to a data breach or ransomware, or all of these horrible security incidences that have just been prolific. So that's kind of where the root of all of this, and why the dark web is so dangerous, because it's that invisible bad guy that nobody really thinks is actually really real. Is it really real, or it's just science fiction stuff, right?
Is it fake news?
Yeah, and the intangible of it, right? I mean, we could get really philosophical with all this, but it's just working. I've, in my experience working in the tech industry, I started out, I was doing B2C sales for like Oracle and SAP and then Lenovo. So I did both, software and hardware. And then I moved into the channel, and I've been able to watch the evolution of the market and the channel and the technology space grow and change. But one thing that really hasn't is that, we all, for the most part, most people just kind of take it for granted, right? When you open up the fridge door, you expect the light to go on, right? So most people still kind of treat technology that way. Oh, and I, get onto the internet and everything's fine. I'm safe. It's good. Nobody wants my information. I'm just one person in a seat.
I'm too small.
Yeah. And and even in some of the bigger organizations, you think about industries that historically haven't really been as technologically advanced as like financial or healthcare or legal, right? You think of like retail, small restaurants, or little there's a company called La District here in New York City, and okay. It's a combination of like an eatery, a bistro, but it also has like food stations. So it's kind of like a store, a grocery store, and a restaurant combined, very like niche and very French themed. There's one that's I know that's called Italy. That's kind of like the Italian version of it.
Okay.
But stores like that, little places like that, their food service, their restaurant, they're not thinking about, oh, my POS system can and probably already has gotten hacked, and like all these things. They want to build out their network, but they're on like ancient technology with a router that they got from Best Buy. Like
Yep.
So I mean, again, no offense to Best Buy, but it's not for
it's not enterprise, not business grade.
Right,
consumer.
Right, exactly. And so, threat actors are all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their entire existence and their role is to test the limits of security, to find ways to get in, to look for those gaps, to look for those vulnerabilities. And as you know, as business people, not even in technology, but as business people, let's not, you know, we've got a business to run, we've got people to manage, and same thing with MSPs, you know, and even if you're an IT professional, right, like you aren't sitting around all day, every day looking for vulnerabilities and testing them. There's not enough hours in the day. You have to have a life and sleep and eat, and, you know,
Sure.
I mean, granted, as IT professionals, that we are consumed with that and it keeps us up at night. But there's, you know, you can only cover so much. And that's why having layers, and kind of circling back to why dark web monitoring is important, and training the end user, right? So education is the key. Education, like talking about, using analogies if it's hard for, you know, for the customers, the prospects you're talking to grasp technical stuff, right? So one of the things I used to say is, so, you know, when you go to the mechanic, right, you leave the mechanic your keys. More often than not, you just hand them over your keys, because you're going to be waiting there for them to change your tires or whatever, right? It's just a minimal thing. It's not like you're leaving it overnight. So you hand over your keys, you go sit in the waiting room and wait for them to be done. Well, wouldn't you like to know if your mechanic had made a copy of your house key before he's standing in your living room?
Right? Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
I always just hand them the car key itself separate. I take the time to pull it off, but
yeah, no, that's smart. I mean, again, you know, like, of course you could pick that apart, but it just the analogy of it, right?
Sure.
And so, you know, education and security awareness training has really become a huge need in the market today, because, like I said, 90% of you know, security incidents start with a compromised credentials. So if we educate people on why it is so critical, you know, not to use the same password managers, even a freemium one is better than nothing at all, right? LastPass, you know, Passly, RoboForm, pick your poison, right? Now,
certainly enough to choose from.
Right. Granted, if it's an enterprise, you probably want to go with an enterprise grade, you know, password manager. But even in personal, you know, have one. So, you know, but yeah. So security awareness training makes it so that the education, right, is shared on a regular cadence, and you know, MSPs, historically, we would be, and again, I'm speaking from personal experience, right? My story, we would set up like, it would be part of like new hire training, or we would do it once a year. We would go in, we would do like, we'd do a day-long seminar, and, you know, people would sit there and their eyes would glaze over, and, you know, and as soon as they walked out the door, they'd maybe remember it for 24 hours and then it was gone. So with BullPhish ID and having the ability to give MSPs a method by way they could do regular, ongoing, bite-sized snippets of security awareness training, you know, once a week, you know, twice a week. That was minimal time and investment from the MSP, was really, you know, a huge boost in sharing the education.
Okay.
So, you know, again, it's a lot of this is, you know, from my personal experience, and I know, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you've got a different opinion, Scott.
No, I mean, security awareness is top of MSP's mind right now. You know, with all of the breaching, all of the hacking, and the situation in Ukraine. You know, we're all sitting back wondering what's going to happen. You know, we've heard a lot of, you know, warnings already. So everybody's got to be on their you know, security awareness training has to be at the top spot for MSPs right now.
Yeah, and it also, look, at the end of the day, it also represents a real business opportunity and a revenue growth lever for MSPs. Yep. You know, I mean, it's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker, and it's a tool that you can, you know, easily implement and easily roll out, and management is minimal, and the returns are, you know, are great.
So, getting back to dark web, I want to ask you a question. Does anybody? Is there any entities that monitor the dark web, police the dark web?
Well, so yes, the FBI now has the cyber crimes division. And for any of you who, sorry, quick little plug here, any of you who are in the Boca Raton, was that South Florida area?
South Florida, I think.
Yeah, this coming Thursday, Jason Minar, Kaseya's new CISO, is going to be doing a session. It's a Kaseya Connect local in Boca Raton.
Okay.
I'll grab the information for that and plug it in. So Jason Minar is our new CISO, and he came from the FBI. And he brings along with him at these Connect locals. So if you're not in Florida, I know this is going to be recorded and it's going to get posted, but look in your area. We do Connect locals all over. And Jason Minar, our CISO, comes to them, and he brings with him his colleagues, his former colleagues from the FBI, who are stationed in that area. And they talk a lot about that, right? About what the FBI is doing, the cyber crimes division, how they are, banding together with other countries to begin to fight this huge, this huge crime center, which is the dark web. But again, the downside is that it's all anonymous. So they really have to have constantly be watching.
And when is that local event in Boca Raton?
That is going to be Thursday, and it is an all day. It's like from 11 to 3. So
okay.
If you go to Kaseya's website and look for events to Connect locals, and they'll give you information about all the Connect locals that are happening around the country.
It's always interesting to listen to these retired FBI guys talk. I've heard several of them, and it's very impressive, and it'll definitely open up your eyes as to what's going on that the average person just doesn't get exposed to. We just don't hear all this, and when you listen to some of these people talk, it's like, wow. So it definitely is an element that, I get back to the dark web. I've wanted to get on the dark web. I've wanted, that spark of curiosity is there. I think it's in all of us, but don't you have to have a private browser or something to get on it? You can't just you can't Google, take me to the dark web.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. So,
but you can Google how to get on the dark web, and there's sites that'll tell you how to do it, but you need a Tor
browser.
Yep. Yeah.
And what is a Tor browser?
God,
is that different than Google Chrome, or how is a Tor browser different?
So we're gonna nerd out here.
Well, I was hoping that we would.
The technical parts of it, I don't know.
Okay, no worries.
No, it is different. So, but I don't really recommend getting out on the dark web. So, you can obviously, but it's it's one of those things that you never know what you're going to bring back with you if you go.
Gotcha. You might see some things that may haunt you, or some things you just won't be able to get out of your mind.
Yeah, and also, you need to know where you're going. So,
sure.
I've seen snapshots in the dark web because we have a team of dark web analysts that send them to us so we can share with them with our audiences, and then in turn our MSP audiences can reshare those images to their audiences to kind of help this is a real thing. But I've never gotten out there on my own.
Okay, so I'm not alone. Okay.
No. No.
Well, and ID Agent, though, the platform itself scours the dark web, right? And looks for users' credentials, end user credentials, and that's kind of the basis behind the platform, correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it does. It's 24/7 monitoring and alerting of the dark web, and there's you know, and while it's doesn't have the same razzle dazzle to us in the MSP space, because we've been hearing about it for a long time now, it is still effective with the end user, with the customer, with the prospect, because we forget, again, you know, we live and breathe and eat and sleep technology, and our customers and our prospects, they don't, right? So, I mean, I've been on planes and having a conversation with my neighbor and telling them, you know, talking to them what I'm doing, and they're like, dark web, and I'm like, yeah, and I like pull it up on my phone and I can show them, like, I can tell you how many of your emails and passwords are out on the dark web, and they're like, what, no, what is that for? You know, like, it's a great party trick.
And so those people, if they own businesses, are you able to refer that work back into the MSP channel with your partners?
Absolutely. You know, whoever is closest to them that, you know, is one of my partners will be like, hey, saw this guy on an airplane. You should probably give him a call, because
that's a warm lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, it really is still something that's very significant, and the education, like, sometimes it baffles me, like, how many people still think that that's like not really a real thing, and we all just kind of made it up, as us and who does Star Wars Dark Side. Wow, help me out here. I'm having late and total.
I am like the worst with Star Wars. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm sure someone maybe can comment in the comments.
Yeah. All right. Well, we won't go down that one. So today, I wanted to talk about. I was planning on us preparing to talk about BullPhish ID, because we've done this whole new thing where we've, you know, decoupled it from dark web ID. We've made it so that it can stand on its own 2 feet, capable of being a full-blown learning management system, right? And I'll explain to you why, right? You're thinking, okay, well, BullPhish ID is security awareness training, phishing simulation. How is it really a learning management system? And that kind of goes back to the new things that we have done and the enhancements to the product that we have made. And I'll get into that, but in a nutshell, that it's the customization features that make it truly a learning management system. So you can, as an MSP, you can push out training from other sources through BullPhish ID. You can create customized videos, and think about, like, the repetitive tasks that maybe your techs are doing. Think new hire training, right? Create a video that says, this is how you set up your email. Push it out. This is the top 10 best tricks to utilize Excel, or, you know, a SharePoint. This is how you get to your company's SharePoint. This is, you know, how you save folders to OneDrive. Yes, automate it, right? And then also on the other side of that, if you are a compliance driven, MSP, as we all should, but a lot more, you know, there's some that are more heavily into it than others based on the clients that they support. You know, those other types of learnings that you can send out, right? It doesn't just have to be about security awareness training. It could be really a full-blown learning management system. So the training side of it is incredibly customized. Plus, we have built it out now so you can create a customized, like, login training portal for each one of your customers' users. So each end user gets their own customized portal to log into. So if you think about kind of going back to and I just came from a Robin Robbins event. So, like, you know, if you're setting up packaging, like the sales and marketing kind of packaging for your MSP, if you're doing that, like the good, better, best, gold, silver, platinum, like packages, right? So your good package could be dark web ID monitoring, right? Compromised credential monitoring. Your better package could be compromised credential monitoring and security awareness training. And your best package could be, you know, dark web ID, BullPhish ID. Oh, and you get your own customized training portal that's customized to you. All these things that all you can deliver all from one platform.
That's incredible.
So we've added some customization features to the phishing kits as well. You can create attachments, you can create customized phishing kits if you are supporting businesses in a specific industry and they have specific, threats that, the phishing threats that they're receiving, all these different things, right? And I'm actually, we'll take a look underneath the hood. We'll go into the platform here in just a minute. So those of you on the viewers there can actually see what I'm talking about. We're not going to do a death by PowerPoint, and this entire thing, but this is something that I think is really, really cool. So before we get into to switch over to the platform, so I had the team pull some pretty powerful stats from last year that I thought really just speaks to the success of the platform that our partners are using it with, right? So if you look at the first number here, our MSP partners have conducted, and this is last year, more than 3 million wow. Total cybersecurity and phishing awareness trainings for their clients last year. That's fantastic. That's amazing,
that's
right?
A lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But that's great, right? And that number consists of more than 1 million training courses assigned to end users and nearly 2 million phishing simulation emails sent. And then the second number that you see, 100,000 plus, is the number of end users trained by our MSP customers in their organization. So we're getting the education out there. Yeah. And then the third number is the number of times that employees and users clicked on our test phishing emails or compromised their credentials by filling out forms on the fake landing pages. And that's one of the features of our phishing kits, of the phishing emails you can send out. Is it's really emulating real world threats, because the end user, when they receive the phishing email, they can click on the link, it takes them to a landing page, they can fill in their credentials. The tool doesn't save or capture that, but it's really, it's emulating that. So that was 160,000, times that compromised credentials could have gone out into the wild had it been a real phishing email. But on the positive spin of that is that that's 160,000 teachable moments, right, for those that fell. But going back to kind of the reality of the world that we live in, even though people, we get a lot of training out, people are still falling for things, as is evident by that last number. So sorry, not trying to give you any more to keep you up at night. But it illustrates why security awareness training is so critical. So I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint here, and I'm going to go into the platform. So
excellent.
Just do this so we can take a look. Now, since I have it up, this is the dark web ID side. And again, historically, if you're going to use BullPhish ID, you would have to also use dark web ID. But because I wasn't going to show this, but because we did kind of start talking about it, I can cruise through it real quick. And this is when you first log in as an MSP. This is your management console, your management screen, so to speak. And depending on the subscription level, the package, because we do bundled domain pricing, the package that you subscribe to, this information here would change. But this is going to be the number of domains that you are actively monitoring in the platform out of the total number that you purchased that is in your subscription.
So that would be your clients' domains that you are reselling domain checks to your clients.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. However, you should also be monitoring your own domain.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yep. So the live searches, this is, and I'll show you that in a minute. This is our live data search. This is our prospecting tool. And this is the single thing that sets us apart from any other vendor that has come out into the space offering dark web monitoring, right? This is the live data search. This is the prospecting tool, and it is a extremely powerful tool when used appropriately, because it is kind of scary. So, you don't want to always lead with, the fear selling, right? The FUD, but it is a great tool to visually show, hey, your data is out there. You are a target, you are at risk. So this is, and based again on the subscription that you get, you purchase a number of searches that you can run a month, and they reset every month. Email addresses, this is the number of personal email addresses that you are monitoring for your clients, right? So you not only can you monitor for compromises associated with work emails, but also for personal emails. And this is really great to offer your C-level, business owners, right? Highly targeted individuals within your client's organization. I mean, because you think about it, how many of you out there, your clients have a company Facebook page, right? Can have a company Facebook page without it being tied to a personal page, which is tied to your personal email, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Or how many times do we see end users mixing personal data like a personal OneDrive with a business OneDrive, and then actually, thinking they're saving it to the business account, but they're saving corporate data in a personal account. So yeah, it definitely, I think the personal definitely needs to be monitored as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, and it also is another way that as the MSP, you can, these are little, if you want, based on your model, these are little upcharges that you can do, little cross sells, upsells, right?
Okay.
And then we're not talking about a lot of money, but even that little bit, that little additional, it adds additional revenue. And then IP addresses, and you can monitor specific IP addresses, and this is going to let you know when there's attack on a website, or any other like security issues that are going on. So see here. Now it is a multi-tenant environment, so all of these are going to be and it's, forgive the messy, this is my test access, so there's a lot of different fake naming conventions in here of organizations, but so this is all multi-tenant, and the way we have set it up is that you can do like a parent-child relationship.
Okay.
Right. So if you have, let me go down here, more than one location, or you've got sister companies that would all roll up underneath one enterprise organization, you can list the child companies underneath the parents.
Nice.
Yeah. And drill into each one of these as it would be an individual client organization. So let me find a good one here. We just have added some different indicators. So we have partners that offer dark web monitoring as a value add. We have partners that charge for it, right? So in the platform here, you can just highlight whether it's a paying domain or a non-paying domain.
Okay.
Just little things that we tried to add to it to make it at a glance, this is what's going on, right? Okay, so then, edit, disable, remove, monitor. So let's drill into it. Hopefully, okay. So two things here. So when you drill into a client tenant, their organization, this would be the first thing that once you clicked on that organization that you as the MSP would see. Now, we also give our MSP partners the ability to give privileged access. So if you're doing like a commit, your point of contact within your champion within an enterprise organization, they want to have access to it. They want to roll it out themselves. You can do that, right? So if you gave a customer privileged access, when they logged on, this would be the first thing that they saw. They would not see the other customer names. They would not see the multi-tenant screen.
It would be restricted to this.
Right. This would be the first thing that they would see. So I always like to point that out because we do give the ability to give privileged access. And I think that's an important, kind of customizable aspect of it. So, the number of domains that you are monitoring for that individual client, in any time frame, the number of emails that have been compromised, and the IP. So just a little visual screen. Everybody loves visuals, right?
Absolutely.
But then you can drill into the actual compromises, right? And now when you first load a client into the dark web ID platform, it's depending on the size of the client, and how long they've been in business and so on and so forth. It can take anywhere from like 20 minutes to an hour to populate this baseline report, this initial report, which as you see here is going to, because the tool goes out and is going to search for any and all compromises associated with that domain name. It's going to pull everything that's out there. It's going to pull it, it's going to show the date that it was found out on the dark web, the compromised values, so the email has been compromised, the password, right? It'll show full clear text passwords. Whereas on the prospecting tool, we redact them. And again, I'll show you that in just a moment. But it'll also include any PII hits. Now, this isn't populated because obviously this is a fake fake organization, but had this been a real organization, any PII that is also included in that data set. So we're talking usernames, mother's maiden name, bank account number, social security number, any of these things, it will, so if it is a non-confidential information like username or address, right? The PII will be, the attribution will be shown. But if it is confidential information like bank account number, right, or social security number, it will just categorize it. And when I show you the prospecting tool, I'll show you what that looks like. But the confidential information stays confidential because you as an MSP, you don't want to be responsible for seeing that or housing that. Neither do we, right? So the important thing is that you can let your clients know, hey, this data set not only does it include your email and this password, but it also includes your social security number. It doesn't tell me what that is, but I just want to make you aware of that. So you should be paying attention to, credit reports, any wonky thing that's going on. Be on high alert for that. And then we just include additional attribution, right, to help you with that story. Now, the only caveat that I have is we are dealing with criminals, right? So they aren't always forthcoming with information, right? No dark web monitoring tool can get all information all the time. We are literally dealing with criminals, right? They lie. Who knew?
Shocker.
Right. So, but where we can, we will, and we do provide the most attribution of the tools out there. So the compromise type, right? It's going to list what the type of the compromise, whether.
So what is a combo list?
A combo list is it's a one big giant data list that
like a data dump.
A data dump. Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see. I'll show you on one of the other ones, but some of the other ones you'll see is like a C2 server. You'll see the compromise type was a result of like phishing or key logging, or a breach, right? The source is where we found it on the dark web, not the origin of the breach, but where we found it on the dark web. ID theft forums, dark web marketplace, like all these different places, right? And the origin. And the origin, again, because this is we verify it. It's not just bots out there scanning the dark web. It is also a team of human analysts. So if we can't positively identify the origin of the breach, we're not just going to slap any information up there, right? Because that is also there's a legal aspect to that, right? But where we can, we will. And again, this is an example data set, so it's not going to be a fully built out. And I'll show you more what that looks like at the prospecting tool, but just kind of for the functionality of the monitoring side. And then the status here, we integrate with the major MSP ticketing tools. So okay. Autotask, ConnectWise, and of course, Kaseya. And for if you're an MSP that don't use any of the big three ticketing tools, there's still integrations, but you can also market here in the platform. So again, different strokes for different folks, right? You don't have to use one of the big three ticketing tools, but if you do, we have native integrations. You don't want to connect it to a ticketing tool at all, that's fine. It sends out email alerts, and you can also mark it here in the platform. It's just, again, we wanted to give people the flexibility to use a tool based on how they run their MSP, how they what they do. So
sure.
So yeah, and then of course there's filters, so you can filter for what's new, what's in progress, what's been resolved, and all of it can be downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet or a report that can then be pushed out on an automatic cadence to the customer, or if you're an MSP that you want to download it yourself and then include that as part of your TBR, QBR.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
There's other really interesting and useful features in here, like you can add a minimum password criteria to this. So anything that is compromised that doesn't meet that minimum password criteria, it will send out an alert, so that again you can go back and have a conversation with your client, be like, so we set this minimum password criteria for the organization. It's a policy. There's a compromise that just popped up, your password. Let's talk about why that's important, and also why, adding two-factor authentication is really important. Oh, and by the way, we should probably talk about security awareness training, which I can also provide, right?
There you go.
So,
because we want the MSP to be the one-stop shop for our clients.
Yeah,
to handle it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And MSPs, you all are wicked smart, and you get why all of this stuff is important, the severity of it, the degree, right? And so being able to assimilate this data, and if that's something you're not really good at, we have extensive training, coaching, guiding. We can help you look at this data, splice and dice it, position it that really tells the story. If you need it, if you don't, you know what to do. You take this data, you look at it, you splice it and dice it by the repeat offenders, the departments within your client's organization that seem to get hit a lot, right? The websites that they're going to, DNS filtering, two-factor authentication, security awareness training, all of these things that going in initially, we used to have to try and convince clients that they needed without having like a visual aid that says, yeah, you guys are a hot mess, right? And just trying. So again, for me as an MSP, having the ability to have this tool was a game changer and a life changer. And after you've got a client on the ongoing monitoring, there's going to be times where there won't be new compromises that pop up, right? That's awesome. What you can do is create a clean bill of health report. So kind of like how OSHA does, like we've gone 75 days without an accident, right? You can, if you go 30 days without a new compromise, create a report, send it out, right? Why? Because I'm an awesome MSP, and I'm watching out for you behind the scenes 24/7, like keeping you top of mind and that value top of mind. Something just as simple as that. Hey, we got 30 days, we've got 60 days without a new compromise.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody should be doing that for sure.
Right. And then on the flip side, when that compromise pops up and it's a CFO, or it's an accounts payable and it's an active password, or even an employee that just left, but their password and email is, the login creds are still active on a banking site, right? That's the critical pieces of information that if you didn't have the ongoing monitoring, you would miss, and leave the door open to potentially, for huge damage to that business.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So here's, I'll go through this quickly because I know I'm kind of getting long-winded here. Live data search, it's a prospecting tool, game changer. You can plug in any like website domain name, a prospect. There's no agent to run, so there's nothing that's on the network. And so if you think about in your prospecting efforts, or if you're doing like a trade show, my mouse is really squirrely. Any sort of conversation that you're having with clients and prospects, this is super powerful. And it will literally run a report, and it will pull all the compromises. It will show you the first 100 compromises associated with that organization. This is a real business. I used to work for them before my technology days.
Okay.
They're a sales and marketing firm, but these guys, look at this. So the impact of that, they've got 1,000+ compromises for this organization, and like the password hygiene, and it's just, these guys are a hot mess. But you can see we redacted after the first 4 characters, right, for obvious privacy reasons. But it's going to show the email that's compromised. So here, look, phishing or key logging, right, and then also PII.
Wow.
Yeah. So super powerful. You can download all the data by in a Excel or in a PDF, a nice PDF report that really is slick and sophisticated and executive level, and it's all click, 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 right? So you're not spending a lot of time. So thinking about like salespeople, if you have salespeople, or if you are the salesperson and you've really been thinking about bringing on someone, but you don't want to have to look for somebody that's experienced and comes with their own book of business, get somebody who's green, right? Give them this tool. We'll train them. I'm telling you, it is super powerful, and it will help you get your foot in the door to then sell the rest of your services. So this is what the report looks like. Again, it's very slick, executive level, and it really is going to help you do the selling.
That is nice. I want you to do one for ITBOG.org.
All right, let's do it. All right. How brave are you? We're going to find out right now.
I know that we have had, we had, I think Canva was one. I had searched this before.
.org. Now, unless you are already a customer of ours, if you already are, then it won't pop up. Oh, look at that. Support at ITBOG.org. Canva.
Yep, Canva.
That's
so just one.
Yep.
Okay. And now, just so everyone understands, kind of tying in what you said originally, a lot of these breaches and ransomwares don't really happen because, the customer, the end user was breached. It's like Canva getting breached. And then the cyber criminals, they hack into Canva and they get all those usernames and email address and password list, and they sell that in open text form on the dark web.
Yep.
So, and that's what this is. So,
Yep. All right. So I know, again, I'm running long. This has really been a great conversation. We've had a lot to talk about, and there's just so much in this platform. It really is the capabilities are really, there's a lot out there. So BullPhish ID, we've decoupled it from dark web ID, and this is really so this is the dashboard, right?
Okay.
So again, if you are using dark web ID, you can get to BullPhish from dark web, but you don't have to have dark web to get to BullPhish. You can still access it.
Okay.
But so this is going to be the main dashboard, and from here it's going to allow you the phishing simulations. You can create a phishing campaign. Of course, it's going to make you re-log in. Poop. All right, hold on. All right, there we go. Okay, so easily create phishing simulation campaigns. Campaign name. You can associate, tie it to a customer. And the great thing about this is, so you can, how many days you can send it, right? All these different cadence, scheduled frequency, once, biweekly, monthly, quarterly, the hours by which to send these phishing tests, right? Because not everybody works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You've got customers that are in retail that are, are working outside of, I don't know, but again, what's normal business hours anymore these days?
Completely customizable.
Completely. Start and stop, and also in time zone, right? And then you would just you would drag and drop the groups. So you can, within each customer's organization, you can create subgroups of individuals. So for example, like the highly targeted roles, the accounts payable role group, you can create an accounts payable group, you can create like a sales group, you can create an executive group, and target those groups within the organization on a different cadence with different phishing kits. So you would pull in the group if there was any, or you could just pull in an organization and then the kits and drag and drop, set it up. And then hit create. So super easy. Let's see. You can, this is just going to list all of your campaigns. It's going to give you a high level, overview of, an aggregate kind of what's going on. But then when you drill into each one of these, it's going to give you the, the stats on it. Hang on, let me go back.
But it also shows you what the end user is going to get in the email.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Let's see, and we've got phishing kits that are in other languages as well as the training, right? So if you support a customer outside of the United States, say they're in Canada and they mostly speak French, we have those, right? And we also have phishing kits that are specific to those different geos, right? So Barclays Bank, for example, right? Bank of America, they don't really have that in other countries. Maybe they do, those bad examples, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is what one of the phishing kits would look like, right? You can add an attachment to any of our phishing kits if you want. You could create a customized one, but this one is, this was a template that's already been created, American Express, right? So what the end user would see is this one right here, right? They would see that, and then gives them a link and they click the button and it takes them to this landing page, right? Okay. So they fall to the email, they click the button, they click the link, whatever call to action it's asking them to do. And then they'll ask for their email, right? And password. Log in. And then it would take them to a page that says this is only a test. And then it will have them watch a video. Now, again, important to note that the tool does not capture and does not save those credentials. Okay. It just, lets them enter them, emulating real world, the real world threat environment. And then on the training course side, it's, the same thing. So you have access to all of these courses. And one of the things that, when I was, an MSP, the one and only kind of standard for security awareness training was KnowBe4, right? And not knocking KnowBe4, but one of the things that I found frustrating is they advertise this great catalog of all these trainings and all these things, but then you get in there and that always costs extra, right? Oh, that's the first extra tier. You don't get access to that. You get access to all of the training, everything in here. It's all part of it. There's no like additional, like tiered content costs or any of that. It's all in here. We're adding new training courses and phishing kits every month, at least 4, just to stay in contact or stay on top of what the current threat landscape is and the training needs. And again, it's all in different languages, but we've got everything in here from physical security to CEO scams to GDPR to HIPAA. So it's really, extensive and you have access to all of it. So let me see here. My mouse is really squirrely. There we go. All right, so this is what the end user would see, right? It's a short 4-minute video. They watch the video, and then there is a quiz that they take afterwards, right? Okay. 6 questions.
So it's not a long video. You're not gonna lose their attention.
No, nope, nope. And we did that on purpose, right? And you can set within the platform, use the MSP, you can set the passing score. And you can also set the number of times that the end user has to take the test to pass it. And again, it's not so much about the score, it's really just about the retention and kind of being able to identify the problem child before they become a problem, right? I mentioned the groups, right? You can create groups within customers' organizations. And let's talk about the reporting, right?
Okay.
So the reporting is, you can export it, you can automate that export, and because I don't have it fully set up for a client, it's not going to show it, but it'll also show you the history. You can automate that to go out on a regular basis to the end user, or again, if you would rather just you take it and you share it, you can do that too. So
okay, very nice. So you can send that to the head of HR.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, or include it in your monthly technology review. So
very good.
Yeah.
Give you something to talk about during the review.
Yeah, well, but, there is. We've all had those problem children, right? Whether it's entire client organization or individual users within an organization, and truly, in addition to helping customers, get cyber liability insurance and demonstrate, compliance to, the mandates that they're beholden to, really being able to identify the problem child, right? Before it was like you would have to kind of wait until they were the repeat offenders, but with a combination of the dark web ID and the compromised monitoring, and then, the click happies, right, and the reporting on this, you can very quickly identify those problem children that need more hand holding before it becomes a big security problem. So nice. I mean, so that's it. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to, and for the training campaigns, when you go to set them up, you can create a training campaign for the entire year, schedule it, and then drop customers in. Right. So create it once and drop customers in. And that's really been, the time savings on that is really, because that's at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, right? Something you can set it up and just plug the customer in and flip the switch on.
There you go. Couldn't be easier than that.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you want to share with the audience, Amelia? You've done a fabulous presentation. I really appreciate your time. Job well done.
Yeah. So in the last few seconds here to take, I just want to tell everyone about, the support that we provide with Powered Services. The sales and marketing support, the coaching, the training, I mentioned that, right? There's an entire platform. There's also a group of people that are there to help you sell security services and your MSP services, right? The coaching, everything you need to get starting, pricing, packaging, monthly campaigns. They're done for you monthly campaigns. You can literally post a new piece of content to social every day of the month. I think there's about 29 pieces of content in each. And it's not just, focused on dark web monitoring or security. It's also, on selling backup or compliance or, any of these other critical security topics that an MSP is going to want to sell. So I highly encourage you, if you're already a customer, please leverage all the resources and Powered Services. And if you're not, definitely want to take a look at that, because it is a invaluable resource of both content and support. We have a free resource that we're giving out. The link will be in the chat. It's also here on the screen. You can go to idagent.com resources. It is how to build a security awareness training program, and literally just that. It's a guide that will help you create and implement successful security and compliance training program. Free resource, download it. It's going to be available. It's not going to go away. It'll be up there. So definitely check it out. And then I know that this probably, if you're going to watch this afterwards, but there's going to be an ID Agent and Graphics product update that'll be coming up this month. So if you happen to catch this video or watching us live and you want to join us, please join us. So that is all I have. Please connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. Send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. I do share a lot of thought leadership content that you can repost and reshare, because it's not, branded ID Agent. I really am just talking about, education, security, and it's literally videos that you can reshare to your audience as an MSP. So that is all I have today, Scott. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
I feel like it's been forever since I've talked to you. So it's really good.
I know
to
it's
see
been
you.
a while. It has, absolutely. Well, it's always a pleasure getting together with you and talking cybersecurity and how MSPs can be better at their jobs by teaming up with ID Agent and helping their clients get compliant and helping their clients navigate the dark web. So.
Yeah.
And thanks for the lesson on the dark web. I really enjoyed that.
You're welcome.
I wonder how many other IT business owners haven't seen the dark web. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
If you're watching this and you're an IT business owner and you have yet to go to the dark web like myself, let us know in the comments.
Yep,
So
definitely. And if you have, tell us what you saw.
that's right. Oh, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe keep that part to themselves. I don't know. We'll leave it up to them. But
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Well, Amelia, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and we'll chat again soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.